So what's the future of events look like? We is it going to be continuing to grow, and what does future events look like for you guys specifically?
Is it going to be continuing to grow? Why do you even have to ask that question?
So we've had the same meditation, visualization, like none of this is done on accident. We visualize the experience that we want to create for every single person that sits down in the seat. How do we want them to feel? What is the experience we want them to have? How do we want them to leave? What does the ripple effect look like? How do we want them to show up to their families? How does that transform the way that they show up to their business or to their job or whatever that may look like for them? And we sit there before every single event and we close our eyes, and Rachel and I will go back and forth about the experience that we're trying to create. And then we also have this visualization of packing a stadium of 10,000 women. That's like the goal that we're shooting towards right now, is packing an entire stadium, 10,000 women. When I personally,
I feel it, by the way.
Oh,
right, like right now, I feel that it's happening.
It is, and it's crazy because that visualization first came to me when I was at my lowest moment. This was probably 6 years ago, when I didn't have a business at that point. I had just lost business. I had just moved in with my parents. I had lost all of my money. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was having panic attacks. And I went on a hike and I climbed up, to this mountain. I sat down and I looked up at the sky, and it was a very pretty sunset. And it was the first time I started to feel emotions, because I had been so numb for months, just completely numb. I wanted to shut out all of the pain. And I closed my eyes and I was just like, why am I here? What am I supposed to do? What am I meant to do? And I saw myself speaking on stage. And I saw just a crowded area. And as the years went on, it just became more and more clear. And then we got our heads together and it was like, okay, we're going to do 10,000 people, and it's going to be all, this entire stadium. It's going to be women. We're going to have these huge keynote speakers. And the visualization is just so alive in us. And I know you're a big fan of Joe Dispenza as well. So we have mind movies that we watch every day of not how we're going to, because we don't know how we're going to make it happen. We just know that it is going to happen. And we trust in that.
Yeah, growing up, I had very similar meditations. I used to do a whole speech to all my stuffed animals with my toothbrush, since OG days. But I never knew that audience was going to be women until we started working together. And now it lights me up, because I was never a girl's girl. I thought girls were, there was jealousy, there was judgment. I was bullied. I thought girls were scary. All the way up until my sister passed away, who was the complete opposite of me. She was a cheerleader. She had all these friends that were girls. I was hanging out with my coworkers that were dudes doing martial arts, complete opposite. I was a tomboy. And when my sister passed, that's when I really opened up to having women in my life, which was something I really needed. And so now in those visualizations, it is women. But one thing that I think is really important is it's not about the journey. It's not about the end result. It's about the community along the way. Because you can make a shit ton of money, you can hit 8 figures, but you don't want to be making 8 figures sitting alone in your bedroom and having nobody else by your side. That's not worth it. That's not living. And so I want to pack a stadium, but I want every single woman that walks into that stadium to get there and automatically recognize another woman in the room, because that's how strong the connector culture is. They already know each other. They already feel welcomed, and they can step into that room and just truly be themselves and be with a whole family of female entrepreneurs that are encouraging them on their journeys.
That's amazing. And what as you were talking about that, almost the moment we shifted into it, like I said, I feel it. And I think it's going to happen sooner than you guys think, and in a way you least expect, because it's real in the sense that immediately I feel it through my body. I actually felt tingles the moment it came out of you guys' words, your mouth. So great job. You're creating it, and it's going to happen. It's happening. So good stuff. We're tapping into a little bit of the woo side, which I love. We don't really tap too much into it here, but I love to go into the woo. And so, what is the woo? You mentioned it a few times, and then I got one last question for that after you guys. But what is the woo, and how can someone get into the woo?
The woo In our community, there's one of the girls that
Woohoo.
she calls it the woohoo. So now we call it the woohoo side. I think on social media, woo woo, woohoo, whatever, is really portrayed in so many different ways. And I think it really is very simple, where social media makes it really complicated. And it's you're within. It's the peace that you have within, the presence that you have within, and the energy that you have within. If you show up in a bad mood, you're going to make other people in a bad mood. If you show up in a good mood and you're giving, you're providing value, you're just being your true self, other people are going to do the same. And so, yeah, our woo-woo side is pulling out our true authentic selves, our weird selves, our funny selves, every piece of vulnerability within us, and letting it shine, and then other people let it shine too.
Yeah, I would say, same. Yeah. It's all about the energy that we want to, and the intention behind what we're trying to build. When we get our energy right and our intention right, then we notice that we climb a lot faster, we do much greater, and we impact a lot better.
Yeah, we do a lot of Joe Dispenza meditations, and I believe if you can see something in your brain, if you can visualize something, you can make it happen. But you have to believe it up here before it can actually come to play in real life. And so part of what we do, I feel like, is when women come together at our events, they're getting to see the beauty in each other, the energy in each other, and it's showing them what they're capable of, so they can visualize their highest selves and then work towards that and see their visions, because it's created as a team, as a community.
The way I picture is the power of intention, because what we have is, if a painter takes a palette of paint and a canvas, they have all the material to create the most beautiful picture in the world. But without the power of intention and visualizing with the understanding of what I'm creating, they're just going to paint a blob. Or it would probably turn into just a brown painting. But the moment we power intention, visualization, and we actually first craft that painting in our mind, and then take the slow action steps to make it reality. First sketch it out on there, then select the paints, and then take the right brush. We take all the pieces and we then create the masterpiece. And that's where I see the woo coming in, is let's take the woo, let's take the power of intention, and then it formulates the action steps into reality.
We heard this podcast of this woman who was being interviewed. Her name is Miss Excel. You might have heard of her on TikTok, who sells Excel,
She teaches
courses.
people how to use Excel.
Yeah,
oh, cool.
Super simple. She's gone very viral. She's made hundreds of thousands of dollars throughout her courses. And one of the guys who was interviewing her on this podcast asked her, "What is your secret behind content creation?" And she said, "The only thing that I do is I sit and I meditate before I record, because I want to think about the experience that the viewer is going to have. I don't plan anything. I don't make that this whole ordeal. I don't have a whole strategy behind it. All I do is I meditate and I feel the emotions that I want the people who are watching this boring Excel video to feel. And then that energy," she's like, "I believe that energy that I am putting out, even though it's through a screen, people can feel that. And that's why my video, every single one of them, goes viral." And I was like, whew. Okay, well, let's do that. And so we did.
I love it.
Thanks for checking out this short clip from the full podcast I did. If you want to see another clip, go ahead and click the link right here. Or if you want to see the full podcast, you can click the link right here and check it out.